Today's guest is Chris Bishop. He's the president of the National Concrete Refinement Institute. Chris, thank you for coming on the show.
Boss, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Great, another Chris Bennett sort of put us in touch. So I'm looking forward to learning more about your background.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, looking at your background, you spent a lot of time in and around, I guess, concrete surface prep coatings, concrete coatings. Is that would that be the main thing? Mostly on the contractor side?
Uh, yes, I've gone to multiple facets of our industry. I've been a contractor. That's where I started. I opened up my own distribution business.
Mm,
Um, that didn't do so great. It got legs, and then I got a little too ambitious. And then I stayed with another distribution company, and I've moved back over into the contractor side. Um, Most specifically on in the polished concrete industry, resinous flooring, things like that.
yeah. Um, I'm always curious about learnings because entrepreneurship's not for everyone, and there's hard lessons in that. You said you got ambitious. I mean, care to share any of what you learned through that process?
Oh yeah. I'll spare you the depressing parts. We I opened up here in Austin as a distribution company for the decorative concrete world
Okay.
in our industry here, and we were doing really well. We had a fairly captive audience, and things were moving quickly. I think I got a little overzealous, and I swung for the fence. Very young mind, and at the time, I got out in front of my skis, um, attempting to grab every opportunity that I could see. And I think the biggest lesson learned there was learning when to say no, and I didn't do that. Um, Unfortunately, it started to snowball when things didn't land when they were supposed to, and projects didn't land when they were supposed to, and you know one thing led to the other, and we ended up shutting down. But because that industry there was so underserved, there was another company that came and basically swooped us up while I was in the middle of my despair of watching my company disappear. Um, I think God had different plans for me then, and he picked me up and he gave me a new opportunity, and I continued to to do the same thing. In fact, they took over the same building and material, so it just worked out.
Yeah, sounds good. Um, in terms of, I mean, I think, I've certainly experienced, like when you're first starting out, there's fewer opportunities. They're saying a lot of yeses, and at some point, learning how to say no becomes important. You've had that lesson. What sort of tips do you give to people, or sort of things that you think of where, where's that line, right? What's a yes? What's a no? How do you qualify it? What goes through your mind?
um, I would distill the answer to that question down to self awareness. Uh, Sometimes we don't take a correct measure of our capabilities at that particular time. Whether you're overcommitted to many things, we all know that you can't do 10 different things really well at the same time. And when the opportunities come up, they look like they're going to be something big in the future, but do you have the bandwidth to spread yourself so thin that you can make it to what it looks like in the future? And at the time, that for me was, I was not telling myself the truth, and assuming that I could take on those responsibilities and be excellent at them. And really, what ends up happening is you are somewhat mediocre at a couple of a couple of things. And so, yes, I guess the answer to your question would be taking a correct measure of yourself, what you're actually capable of doing, um, and telling yourself the truth.
Yeah.
If that
I
answers
mean,
it.
self-awareness is a hard thing. I mean, how do you think, any of us can raise our own self-awareness? Is it having the right people around you? I mean, what sort of things, can you do to sort of raise that self-awareness?
Well, you can do it the way that I did it, and you can have a bunch of people around you tell you that you're out in front of your skis a bit, and maybe you're moving too fast, and you can bang your head up against the wall until you eventually figure it out. I would imagine that the better route to go there would be to, if you are surrounding yourself with people that you would like to emulate, maybe people that have been there before you, listen to them and get an understanding of what that looks like for you personally. But self awareness is hard. It is really hard, and it's even harder once you grasp the little nugget that you're starting to get it. It's even harder to hold on to, um, because again, you think that you've got it, then you go to the next step, and maybe you don't have it, and it's a constant work. You never, I don't think you ever get out of hey, I've got it now, I'm good, because humility is always right around the corner, and it'll let you know whether you've got it or not.
Yeah, for sure. So you're also president of the it looks like a relatively new National Concrete Refinement Institute. Is that something you started yourself?
It is something I did not start it myself, but I have been the tip of the spear here. There was an article written recently in the Construction Specifier magazine by the people that I respect, the architects, the owners, the engineers, the spec writers, and designers that have had a challenge with the polished concrete industry and the level of subjectivity that goes into measuring that. And the article essentially says we've been having problems. We've asked for solutions. There's so much variability in polished concrete because the slab that you're polishing is the only thing in the trade that's literally manufactured on site, and the amount of variability that goes into that is is massive. Not everybody knows all the little tips and tricks, that the things that would make this piece of concrete different than this piece of concrete.
Yeah.
And ultimately what it's led to is confusion, letdown, um, and because of that, I believe that the industry, the polished concrete industry, if that if that cycle continues, there's no longevity there. Ultimately, it will either be a trade that's now replaced by something else, or the reputation of um, polished concrete installers will just, it will remain kind of the knuckle dragger idea. So when they wrote the article, it it was I call it it was a mandate for change. And if we looked at this from a contractor's perspective, they were not saying so and so's at fault, this person's at fault, whatever. They're saying we are confused, we are not satisfied with the results that we're getting, and we need help. And we've seen this refinement piece come along in our industry before. This is not the first time. Um, but change is difficult, and a lot of people don't like change, especially in an industry that seems to just, the cycle continues. Get the job, bid the job, win the job, perform. But that cycle will ultimately stop if there's not a change in how we measure what success looks like.
Mm,
Um, when you're looking at a specification. So they made the pitch to rewrite the specification, bring some more measurable standards and benchmarks to the industry for surface refinement, and that's what the NCRI is in place to do. We are the we exist really. So if it says refined concrete in a spec, that refined concrete is delivered. We are a training organization, and right now, I am a contractor training my competition uh, to to learn refined concrete, and I say that with all transparency because I believe that evolution of our industry is absolutely necessary if we're going to stand the test of time.
Yeah.
So that's in a nutshell what the NCRI is about.
Basically, everyone's working towards the same thing. There's no, I guess, holding on to your turf. The ground is gonna, crumble from underneath you, right? Basically, got to work together.
Correct. Yeah. If there's any future in an industry, everybody has to be happy in that entire evolution. The people that are paying for it, the people charged with writing the playbook of how to do it, the people that are uh, put in place to manage all of the trades that are in there, and then down to the subcontractor level, we have a responsibility to be a craftsman and to deliver what the what the specification calls for, what the work result is supposed to be. And for too long, the specification just they are vague. They're not super clear, and when it's left open to interpretation, you can get a multitude of different solutions. I mean, I could give an example of a very simple one. You see a specification for what's called sealed concrete 800 grit. Uh, when someone reads that as an installer, they would say, or, "Okay, I think that they want sealed concrete, and maybe they want the shine of an 800 grit." And another contractor would read that and say, "Well, no, it's fairly obvious for the use of this space that they would like a full polished concrete, and it probably needs a grout coat, and it'll take it to 800 grit, but it'll be fully refined up to that point. And there will be somebody else in between that interprets it differently. And as a result of that, that specification on that project, the general contractor is going to receive three bids that range from, for example, $1.25 to $3 to $5. You know, there's no continuity in that,
Yeah.
because someone has interpreted it differently because the standards are not there. The playbook is not there of exactly what it is that they're looking for.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's other standard organizations, but you've gone off and created with the team a separate organization. Walk me through the the thought process there.
The thought process of creating a new organization when there are already standard
Oh
organizations
yeah,
in
yeah.
place.
Opposed to doing it within another standards organization, creating this organization, what was the thought process there? Like you thought, having a specific one was just going to get the attention it deserved. What was the thought process of creating this dedicated organization to tackle this problem?
Yeah, sure. There are other organizations within our industry that are would be considered governing bodies of call it polished concrete. And like I had mentioned earlier before, the this refined refined concrete refinement technology where you're measuring the concrete throughout your refinement process. This has happened before. Um, the organizations uh, that are in place to govern polished concrete, um, I believe that they are doing what they think they need to be doing. Um, I think that they're standing up for what they believe to be right. They're representing the manufacturers that sell the products for our industry, and they're trying to keep everyone together. The challenge is uh, that those organizations don't see the problem from the perspective of, let's call it, the architects, engineers, spec writers that wrote that article. They're not looking at it from their perspective. And so we've gone back and forth with these organizations before on creating new standards. That argument didn't go very well. And
Mm,
it definitely didn't get any roots, grow any legs to go any distance.
yeah,
That's essentially why we've decided to create our own organization to represent refined concrete as a whole, and that's the only thing that we focus on.
yeah, for sure. Um, well, and you may have this already, but what sort of people, resources, collaborations need to happen for you to get to, step one, step two, or step three of what success looks like?
Sure, yeah. Um, the construction world for any trade is there's multiple groups that go into it, and it starts with the owner or whoever's at the top that's writing the check for the project that's going to be there. Then below that, you have the design team that are saying what all we want on there, how we want it to look, how we want it executed. Then you also have this, in most cases, you have it passed down to a general contractor of some sort, where they're taking all of what's being prescribed for that particular project. They're receiving bids from those different trades, and uh, they're vetting those they're vetting those subcontractors under the different trades, and then they ultimately make the award, go through the execution, and you do the whole circle, and then you rinse and repeat that. So the individuals that are going to be crucial um, to be supporting the NCRI, either on the boards as we start to build out our foundation of the organization, will be from all of those groups. We have to educate. We have some architects, again, the ones that wrote the article that are currently on board with refined concrete in place of polished concrete, but they need to help spread the message to others that might be facing the same challenges on different projects of their own. And we've actually seen that response since the article was released. We've actually seen the response has been tremendous from other architectural firms reaching out and saying, "Oh my goodness, we have the same problem. Um, who do we talk to? How do we learn about this?" Then the next step down in the chain are the general contractors. They have a lot of responsibility in there to deliver a product that the owners paid for, but they also have a bottom line that they have to take care of. They've got to make money to manage all of these trades as well, and so uh, helping them understand that when we say refined concrete, it doesn't mean just go back to the same subcontractor that you used before for polished concrete. Tell them about refinement, and that it's just going to happen. And then from there, you're back into the subcontractor world, where we all look at it, and we play our part in that game as well. We look at the specification, we have our relationship with the general contractor, and then we make an interpretation off of that spec and come up with a number. Well, in this case, if we've educated from the top down, and the general contractors understand what it is that they're looking for with refined concrete, uh, and they know to point towards the NCRI as the training body for those subcontractors, they can still use their favorite polish contractor. They just need to go through the NCRI's training program to understand what refined concrete is, the benchmarks that are set, um, how we hold ourselves within the organization, how we treat our fellow installers within the industry. And I think if that is done correctly, and all of those pieces are in place, ultimately you're going to have a project that would be specified well, understood by the general contractor what they're looking for, and it's uh, the invitations to bid are sent out to refined uh, concrete installers that can then in turn deliver their craftsmanship to the project, and everybody in that entire evolution is slapping hands at the end of it, and repeating it. You know,
Yeah,
that's the
good
hope.
good project outcome, some profitability on
Yes,
all sides involved.
right.
Good, that makes sense. Yeah, it's not easy to do this. Definitely commend your group for just coming together and taking a stand at this. I know that there must be other areas of the industry that have similar things, but not waiting around, being proactive is, I mean, I think the way to go. So
Yeah, it's an uphill battle, as we all know. But I think, as you say, something along the lines of, if you're not growing, you're dying, and that's where we're at here. We're seeing our trajectory is not straight up. We see it start to flatline and even decrease in some respects. So we have to bring that growth back. We have to bring that craftsmanship back to what it is that we're doing, and move away from a production style installation, where everything is so fast and so furious, and everybody needs answers now, and it has to be done because this schedule is drop dead date for this schedule is how that goes, and
yeah,
that's challenging. So slowing it down a little bit, the change will be a battle, but I think it'll be worth it.
yeah, makes sense. So if people want to, that listening to this, hear this and say, I've dealt with this problem. I'm aware of it. It's affected us. I want to do something with it. How do they get a hold of this organization or you?
Really, they can go to our website. It's www.thencri.com, thencri.com. There's a contact page there, where you can reach out to us. There's a phone number, and that will actually ring directly to me. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn. That's been a tremendous platform for us recently. It's obviously where I've gotten in touch with you, and that is great. Um, I would say that either getting on the website directly and going through the contact us page, or just reach out to us on LinkedIn, and we'll get back and we'll start to have the conversations. We've got our first big actual training coming up here March 20th here in Texas, to really uh, springboard the idea of the NCRI and what we bring to the table. There are real specifications that are out there in the world, in the industry right now, that are able to bid on. So you know it's here. The demand is here, and if you reach out, I think that this thing is going to spread pretty quickly. And so if we don't get back to you immediately, it's because right now I'm one man attempting to open up the doors for more to come in and help and proliferate the good news about refined concrete, and how we can introduce measurable benchmarks uh, to the refined concrete world, and understand that a project is not done until it meets those benchmarks, and there's no subjectivity that's open to interpretation or anything like that.